Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Game Insider podcast, Game Changers Voices of the Industry, where we explore the people, systems, and ideas shaping the global gaming industry. Today's guest works behind the scenes of mobile games played by millions of players every single day. Rahul Garg is an associate executive producer at Zynga, where he helps build, operate, and scale live games in one of the most competitive spaces in the industry. In this conversation, we'll talk about what production really looks like at scale, how live games are managed after launch, and what it takes to keep players engaged over time. Rahul, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, and glad to be here.
Great. Okay, so to start us off, I'd love to just go back to the beginning, Rahul. How did you find your way into game production and what led you to Zynga?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a long journey, I would say. I've been passionate about games since childhood and always knew I wanted to work in this space. One thing that I used to do as a kid was watch the entire credit sequence of the games, sometimes like 15-30 minutes long, just to see all the different roles involved in making a game. That's how I actually first learned about many functions behind the game development. And interestingly, I still do that today. When I decided to pursue my interest more seriously, I did my graduation in multimedia and animation, where I learned tools like Maya, Photoshop, Flash, scripting, and some creative software commonly used in game and digital content production. So I started my career as a technical artist and then moved into game design and then eventually transitioned into game production. So across those roles, one thing that stayed consistent was that I naturally gravitated towards managing projects, tracking timelines, coordinating teams, and keeping stakeholders updated. So in the early startups I worked at, there wasn't really a formal game producer role, but I often found myself doing many of those responsibilities. Over time, I realized that the part of the work I enjoy most was very similar to what producers do. That's when I decided to pursue production more formally and joined a studio in Bangalore as a producer. Uh, Zynga has had always been one of my dream companies because of the impact it had on social gaming, basically. In fact, I originally created my Facebook account just to play Farmville. It felt like a real full circle moment when I joined Zynga, and Farmville became the first project I worked on here. So that was about 9.5 years ago, and I've been here ever since. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think most of us have downloaded Facebook to play Farmville back then. Great. So, for people who may not be familiar with production roles, Rahul, how would you describe what an associate executive producer actually does on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. So, yeah, at a high level, an associate executive producer is responsible for making sure everything across the game division runs smoothly, from strategy all the way down to day-to-day execution. Uh, Big part of the role is connecting different layers of organization. So, I work closely with senior leadership on defining the goals, the roadmap, and the priorities, uh, and then help align multiple teams and disciplines to deliver on those goals. That includes like planning the division's roadmap, ensuring the right resources and skills are in place, making sure teams have the processes and the tools they need to execute effectively. Um, Another important aspect is capacity and delivery management. So tracking how teams are performing, right? Like understanding the throughput, velocity, and reallocating resources when needed. So we stay on track with quality and timelines. The role also involves a lot of leadership and people development. So I work uh, with the team leads to set development goals, build strong teams, and identify future leads, and ensure we maintain a positive team culture and morale. This also includes like hiring, coaching, and helping teams grow. And Finally, because of the experience that comes with the role, we often contribute to product and design discussions, bringing industry insights, understanding player trends, and helping guide decisions that improve the overall game experience. So, just to sum up in simple terms, it's a mix of strategy, execution, leadership, and alignment, and making sure the right people are working on the right things at the right time so teams can build great games.
Understood. Basically, keeping everything together,
Yeah.
related to the game. Understood. Okay. Also, Zynga operates games with massive player bases across the world, right? So, once a game is live and being played by millions of people, how does production fundamentally change compared to the pre-launch development stage?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say production changes quite a bit once a game is live and operating at scale. So during development, the focus is mostly on building the features, content, systems, and getting everything ready for the launch, right? So, but once the game or the feature is live that we are working on, the mindset shifts to running the game as live ops, right? Like so, at that point, production becomes much more data driven. Some decisions are influenced by player behavior, engagement metrics, retention, monetization signals, right? Like, so you are looking at how players are interacting or engaging with the game or the feature that you have built and using that insights to prioritize what to build or improve next, right? Another big change is the pace and coordination required. So with large player base, like updates, events, and new content need to be planned very carefully and delivered consistently. So production plays a key role in aligning multiple teams, multiple functions, basically like design, engineering, art, product managers, analytics, or marketing, so that everything from the feature releases to live events happen smoothly. There's also much stronger focus on stability and player experience. So even small issues can impact like millions of players, right? Like so, managing risk, maintaining quality, and responding quickly to problems becomes critical over here.
Okay. So, like you mentioned, wait, responding to problems, right? What kind of problems are, the ones that only appear after a game goes live? Maybe things that teams simply can't fully predict during development.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, once game goes live and you are suddenly dealing with the real players at scale, right? Like so, that introduces a whole new set of challenges. So one of the biggest things is player behavior, right? Like players are incredibly creative and often uses systems in a way sometimes the designers might not have anticipated, right? Like so, sometimes they discover exploit, economic imbalances, or strategies that can affect the progression or the fairness in the game. Um, Another category is the in-game economy or progression. So what might look balanced during the testing can shift once the real player behavior and the patterns comes into play, right? Like so that's when the team needs to monitor the data closely and make adjustments. So live environments also reveal long-term engagement patterns when players interact with the game over weeks and months. You start seeing how systems actually perform, right? Like so, whether progression feels rewarding and whether players stay engaged. So and finally, there's like community feedback and sentiment as well, right? Like once the game is in players' hand, you start getting real reactions from store reviews, social channels, and support tickets, right? Like which can highlight issues or expectations that weren't obvious during the development. So in many ways, launching a game or feature isn't the end of the development, I would say. It's really the beginning of learning how the game behaves in the real world and continuously like improving it from there.
Got it. And like you said, there's a player feedback that comes in. How much does that actually influence the roadmap decisions at Zynga?
Um, So see, the first thing is about like player behavior is important basically, right? But there are other key metrics as well that we have to keep in mind, right? Like be it retention, the engagement, the metric, and like I spoke about uh, the the support tickets that we get, right? Like, so I would say it's a mix and match
Hmm.
of all these combinations, and then basically take a call accordingly.
Okay. Okay. How do teams sort of balance the quantitative data with, this qualitative player feedback when deciding what to build or what to change?
Um, so yeah, I think like it's very similar to how I spoke about earlier, right? Like combination of basically all the it's a mix and match of quantitative and qualitative data, I would say, right? Like reading the metrics that we are coming, reading the sentiments in the social forums, reading the reviews that we have, and then making the call basically accordingly. Yeah,
Okay, got it, got it. And live games, they like require constant coordination also, right, across multiple disciplines.
it
So,
does.
how do you keep teams aligned across design, engineering, analytics, and even the business stakeholders?
Um, Yeah, so I think one thing around that is going back and understanding the core goal basically that we are going behind, right? Like what are we looking at? What's the vision, right? So that's one thing definitely we would like to go back and study and have some alignment across the functions basically.
Mhm.
And once that happens, basically, right, it's all about the execution and taking it forward from there. So basically, alignment of the goal, I would say, across all the functions.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. And are there any skills you think which matter most for producers that are especially working with large cross-functional teams?
Mhm. So I would say there are multiple. One of the most important skill I would say is around the communication,
Hmm.
right? Like it's very important to have the communication, being able to connect with different teams and ensure everyone understands the goals and the priorities. Another key skill is prioritization. So with many moving parts, producers need to help teams focus on the most impactful work,
Hmm.
right? And obviously like problem solving and the adaptability is also very critical since plans often change and teams need support to stay on track.
Got it.
And finally, when you're dealing with a lot of people, right, like around you, empathy and collaboration matters a lot as well. So
Hmm.
because building trust across different disciplines is essential on keeping large teams aligned.
So if somebody is interested in game production or breaking into live operations side of things, where would you suggest they begin?
Yeah. Um, So a good place to start is by building a strong understanding of how games are actually developed and
Hmm.
operated. Right, like that means learning the basics of game development, understanding different disciplines like design, product managers, engineers, art, analytics, right, like all the functions and how they work together. It's also important to develop skills around project management, communication, and problem solving. Uh, because production is largely about coordinating teams and keeping projects moving, right? Another great way is by studying the live games. So paying attention how updates, events, and the features evolve over time, right? Like and thinking about why certain decisions might have been made. So and maybe finally being curious and proactive helps a lot. Production roles often grow from people who naturally start organizing work, improving processes, and helping teams stay aligned.
Got it. Okay. And do you think hands-on development experience or technical knowledge is necessary for producers, or can strong producers also come from non-technical paths as well?
Yeah. So on that, I would say like hands-on development experience can definitely be helpful,
Hmm.
but it's not absolutely necessary to become a strong producer, right? So what matters most is having a good understanding of how game development works
Hmm.
and being able to communicate effectively with different disciplines like design, engineering, art, analytics, product managers, right?
Got
So
it.
while technical exposure can be an advantage, but strong producers can absolutely come from non-technical paths as long as they understand the development process and collaborate well with the teams.
Got it. Okay. So what we can do, Rahul, now we'll do a quick rapid fire round. So
Mhm.
I will just ask you some questions, quick questions, and you can say whatever is the first thing that comes to your mind
Sure.
as the answer. Okay. One mobile game you admire for its live operations.
All right. So I might be a bit biased here, but honestly, Zynga games are great examples of strong live operations. So what I really admire is how these games continue to evolve over many years through regular events, new features, and tunings.
Okay. Okay. We'll take that. A production challenge that taught you the most.
So one of the biggest lessons for me uh, came from working on projects where priorities kept shifting while the timeline stayed the same, right? Like, so I would say I think it's a common challenge in game development, specifically in the live environments. So early on, I learned that simply trying to push teams harder isn't the solution. The real value of production is creating clarity, resetting priorities, aligning stakeholders, and helping team focus on what truly matters for the release, right? So that experience taught me that production is less about managing tasks and more about managing expectations, communications, and the trade-offs. So when those are handled well, team can stay focused and deliver much more effectively.
Makes sense. Okay. What would you prefer, planning heavy weeks or like fast moving fire drills?
So ideally, planning heavy weeks, but good planning gives team clarity and helps avoid unnecessary chaos. That said, in live operations, fire drills are sometimes like inevitable, right? Like when they happen, the goal is to stay calm, align the right people quickly, and resolve the issue without disrupting the team more than necessary, right? Like, so while planning is always preferred, being prepared to handle moving situations is definitely part of the job. So,
Yeah. And finally, one common misconception people have about live operations.
oh yeah. So this is just about. I think many people think like just live ops is just about running events or pushing frequent features or updates to the game, right? But in reality, it's much broader than that. It involves constant monitoring how the player is doing, balancing the in-game economy, planning content months in advance, and making data-driven decisions to keep the game healthy over time. So while players might see the events and updates on the surface, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of strategy, planning, and analysis that goes into running successful live games.
Okay, great. So before we wrap up, Rahul, I just want to ask a broader question. What advice would you give to teams that are trying to build games that players can come back to every single day?
Yeah, so the biggest advice would be to focus deeply on the player experience and the code loop. If the code loop of the gameplay is fun, right? Like in rewarding, players will naturally want to come back.
Personally, what part of your work do you find the most rewarding?
So I would say the most rewarding part is for me seeing teams come together to solve complex problems and deliver something meaningful.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you, Rahul. Thank you for being with us today and giving us your time and sharing your insights with us.
Thanks a lot, Pooja.
Right. And to everyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in into our podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow us for more discussions with industry professionals. We cover topics across game development, esports, and interactive entertainment. So we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.